Hello, hello, you guys. I'm Z. This is my husband, Charles. We decided to start a channel, right? And you may be asking why. There's 20 million other YouTube channels. I think we wanted to start a channel because we thought maybe someone would be interested in our story or in our lives. I'm currently a family medicine physician. Charles is an actuary. We have a very blended family. We have a unique love story of how we met. So I think today's video will probably be a little intro to how we met and just getting to know a little bit of our family as we drive along. We're doing a little road trip today. In 2020, when I was in my first year of my family medicine residency, I was a single lady. And like many of the young individuals out there, yes, I consider myself young. I was on the dating apps, right? I was on the Bumble, I was on the Tinder, I was like, what's it called? Bagels and yogurts, all the apps, right? Because I was really focused on finding my partner in life. I was happy by myself at that point, but I was really intent on finding my person. And the dating apps are or can be horrendous at times. I don't know how many times I deleted and then put back on my phone again the dating apps. It was in, I believe it was September of 2020. I was just swiping along, and I came across a profile with someone who had their biceps popping, and I think it was a bird, right? You were holding a bird. I'm not gonna lie, it was very superficial why I swiped. I think it was right. It's when you like somebody. And Charles and I matched, right?
She liked the biceps and the bird.
I did. And tell me, where were you at when you were starting the dating app to when you swiped right on me?
Oh wow. Okay.
A quick summary. Yes.
Okay. So this is my craziness. Um, at that point in time, I had a 3-year-old and 2-year-old child, 3-year-old boy, 2-year-old girl. They are 12 months and 3 weeks apart.
Like Irish twins, yeah.
Uh, Not too long before, uh, we had lost their mother. She passed away, and so I was recently a widower and living out in the suburbs with my 2 kids and trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do with my life. And so I got onto a dating app, which I hadn't been dating. Oh wow. It was like 7 years. It was 7 years since I tried any sort of a dating type activity. So I had no idea what to do. All I knew was I was working from home and struggling to take care of my kids. Had a little bit of family help at that time with the kids. And about 9 o'clock at night, I'd get the kids to bed, and I'd go into my bedroom, and it's like I've got to figure out something to do with my life. And so I fished around. I downloaded some dating apps. I got on them, tried to figure out what the heck was going on, and I ended up on. I think, yeah, Bumble was the one that I ended up liking because the other ones, you had to start conversations or come up with some horrible line to say to people, and I didn't like that at all. And on Bumble, I think that once you indicated you're interested in somebody, uh, once a guy indicated they were interested in a girl, then I think the girl actually had to make the first
Yeah, he's like
conversation
first
with
thing.
them, and so that appealed to me a lot more. And I'm trying to I'm trying to remember how we came across. So you found me?
So I'll give you guys a little quick backstory. I was a little annoyed that I had no control of knowing who would like me, right? Because I'm a little bit at times type A sometimes. And so me being my extra self, I actually paid at that time you could pay like an additional $5 or whatever it is for like an overrated Bumble where
You
you
paid for
just,
the app.
I did, okay? Keep your judgment to yourself. And you can see who were the guys that liked you. And so I was like, oh, I don't have to waste my time unknowing if someone likes me. I know I'm an extra. And so I saw that he was one of the guys that liked me. And that's when I swiped right on his profile. But yeah, so once we swiped right on each other, what was next, right? Our first conversation, you think it's your normal, just getting to know each other. He pretty much said to me, I have 2 kids and my wife passed away. And keep in mind, she passed away approximately
A couple
a
months
month.
before.
It wasn't, I don't think it was a couple of months. It was like 6 to 8 weeks um, before we swiped right at each other. And I'm not gonna lie, that was something that bothered me, troubled me. Initially, before meeting Charles, one of my what was it? One of my, I guess you could say, rules, or if that's what you want to call it, was that I wouldn't date a guy with children. And him having 2 young children and the recent passing of a wife, I was wondering, am I just a quick rebound? Has he really settled that grief? And, what am I getting into? Right? I love children, but by no means, you know, was I used to or accustomed to dealing with the needs of such young children who recently lost their mother. And despite that, we kept on talking. I think our conversations intrigued me. We would talk every evening. I think we did that for a good 2 to 3 weeks before we met literally every night. And he really was trying to get to know me, who I was as a person. And I enjoyed talking to him. We would laugh, we would joke. And every night I would look forward to our conversations. And if you know anything about medical residency, it is one of the most stressful things that you can ever go through. And I remember coming home and just like unloading, right? And I enjoyed it. Go ahead.
It was awesome. Uh, with my situation, where I was living, it was about an hour and a half away from her, and every day was kind of a struggle to get through the day, taking care of the kids, doing my full-time job, getting dinner done, getting the house cleaned up. And so when I get into my room at 9 o'clock and we would do our call, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was amazing. I had this wonderful, smart lady who apparently was kind of interested in me for some reason, and we'd have these great conversations about life, about social issues, about kids, family, about things that were going on in the world, and that was my outlet. I look forward to that literally every single day, and so it scared me so much when it finally came time that we were going to meet, that we were going to get together, because I wondered, is this going to be the end? Was this a fun phone relationship, but
Mm,
is
yeah.
it is it are we going to be able to make that into an
Yeah.
in-person relationship, or is this going to be all it is?
And you got to think about kind of, what you were saying, but also all the obstacles that, you know, stood between us, right? Us living so far apart, because at that time, where I was doing residency and where Charles lived was about what, an hour and a half away. And my schedule would change from month to month, or sometimes every week or so would change. Sometimes I would be working overnight. Sometimes I'd be doing 12-hour shifts. So there wasn't a lot of flexibility, or, with my schedule. I didn't have a set schedule. Sometimes I worked weekends, sometimes I didn't. And then also with someone being new to motherhood, or taking on a mother role, there was a lot, right? And also different cultures, right? I was also a little bit apprehensive because Charles told me I was the first Black lady, he ever dated. And I was like, am I a fetish? I think I told you that quite a couple of times. I kept on poking the bear. Are you sure this is where you want to go to? I know
I,
the blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice, but are you sure you want to indulge in this juice, right? And so us learning culturally kind of how to meet and overcoming those obstacles, I think was actually easier than I what I thought it would be. I don't know. What do you think?
I didn't know a black lady would be interested in me. I never.
He always says that. I had giving you backstory. I dated guys from all races and cultures before in the past, so that wasn't a new thing for me. I just want to make sure it wasn't he just trying to check a box off on his list. I think the only thing difficult for me though was more so how to be, I hate this term, but be like a stepmom or bonus mom to the kiddos, right? I didn't know how to navigate their feelings in regards to their biological mom and what role did I play. You know, how what's appropriate for disciplining, how am I perceived from their from the perspective of their grandparents, it was all of those things of me trying to figure it out and deal with my own insecurities. I think that was the most difficult for me.
I told you the other day, the process of watching you go from somebody without kids to somebody who immediately has two kids who are, not babies.
Yeah.
Um, that's been one of the most beautiful things that I've ever seen. You know, the process of you basically coming out and coming into the role as a mother with these kids, and you're a natural. I mean, you're amazing with our kids, and that's I'm so glad that in my life that's one of the things I've gotten to experience is to watch that transition.
It was interesting. I think it made me, not that I'm being selfish with it, but I think it made me a better person too, right? Because with children, especially at that age, I met the kiddos when they were 2 and 3. And kids, even teenagers, are really selfish, right? And that's just how kids are naturally. I was like that as a kid. I'm sure you were as a kid too. So deciphering that and sometimes I would take it personal. Someone wouldn't give me a hug or, not listen. It was just dealing with all of those insecurities. And like I said, how the world perceived us sometimes would come into play too. So I think I learned how to have thicker skin. I learned patience. I learned to be a little bit more confident in my communication, in my interaction. And I think you have to give kiddos time, right? It takes time for them to build a relationship and build trust. And then you have to realize too that I wasn't in the household all the time. You know what I mean? I would come in maybe once a week, on my day off, come on a Friday. Hopefully I could stay till a Sunday and I'll be out again for the rest of the week. Right. So the first year or two that they met me, I wasn't around frequently. So
Right.
I think that made it took longer, I guess is what I'm trying to say, for them to, or for us to form that relationship. Um, but going past that, once we got past all of that, the next, I think, difficulty we kind of approach, I would say, is having a long distance relationship. How did you feel about that? About us like dating in that long distance with me being in residency?
Well, now that we don't do it anymore, it doesn't seem like it was that big of a deal. Uh,
But that was like the majority. I'm trying to think. That was a good portion of our relationship was doing long distance.
you came over, you got out of residency June of 23.
Correct. And we
Yeah,
met in 2020. So half
at
of
the end of
our, yeah, half of our relationship, or about half of our relationship, we did quote unquote long distance, which for us was an hour and a half. I know some people do it, live in other states, but how did that, was that a strain for you, you feel like, when we were doing long distance?
all the things that were going on in life, I don't feel like it was that much of a strain. And what's interesting is so the drive between where she was living and where I was living, the drive is actually a very nice drive. It's an hour and a
It's
half.
true.
It's through the country. There are
And I
trees.
don't even
There's
like to drive if you know
lakes.
me, but I would look forward. I think that was a thing for me. Once I came to terms that this was going to be kind of our dating relationship and you were serious about me, it became pretty therapeutic. Like I would look forward, be excited on a Friday to drive and it was a thing that I was excited for to see the kiddos, to see you. What are we going to do that weekend? I think the hardest part once we got established as a couple, as boyfriend and girlfriend, was leaving on the Sunday,
Yeah.
right? Because there would be a lot of times I had to rush back because I'm starting to work nights or something. And, because like, oh, you gonna go already? See, or see, stay a little bit longer. And, I had to get home and prepare for the next day. So I think that was a little bit difficult. Sometimes we wanted to stay longer at the park or I would, nope, you gotta leave early. Can't
Right.
do dinner.
And remember, I would come over Wednesday nights. So
Yeah.
the way we'd break the week up
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
is she would come over on
Oh, I
Friday.
forgot about our Wednesday night. Yeah.
Yeah, she'd come over on Friday, spend Saturday, Sunday, go home Sunday night. And then I would come over on Wednesday nights and I'd spend the night with her on Wednesday night and then drive back home early Thursday morning. And it was so much fun because we would come out, we normally either we would go out to dinner when I came over, or I would pick something up on the way over. Sometimes we'd go out for ice cream. We'd
Oh
go out to the Sonic
yeah.
and get some ice cream.
Oh, our little Wednesday. I mean, now we do Friday date nights, but I think our
Yeah.
Friday date nights are a little bit different. Wednesday, I think was different because we just got to explore more. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I think Friday date nights is like reminiscent of the Wednesday date nights. I
Yeah,
think that's why
yeah,
we hold on to Friday date nights so
yeah.
much.
And with our Wednesday date nights, he used to have a little sports car. And I get picked up in the sports car, and he used to scare me a little bit, but I know he used to enjoy like driving on the highway, and it was cute. We would get ice cream, or it was cute. What do we do often on the Wednesday?
We go to Pollo Tropical, and
Was
then
it
we
Punch Bowl?
yeah until they closed up over there.
Oh yeah.
So we go to Pollo, and then after that we went to there was the best fried chicken place. You know how the best fried chicken is always in the middle of nowhere.
Oh yeah.
So there's this little town that has just one stoplight, a bait store, and a fried chicken restaurant. And it's the kind of place where you literally line up outside and they give you fried chicken and you go eat it on a bench. But it's the best fried chicken we've ever had. And so a lot of the nights, a lot of the Wednesdays, like towards the end of her residency, I would pick up fried chicken on my way over,
Oh yeah.
and then we'd eat it at your counter there at the apartment, and then we'd go out for Sonic afterwards.
Do you remember when I used to do nights and you did this a few times? You would go to like an IHOP. I'd be like half sleep, but you remember we would go to like an IHOP
Yeah.
and sit. That used to be really nice.
So yeah, when she would work overnight, you'd get off at what? You get off at like 7 in the morning or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I would come over. So I would drive over from my house early in the morning and pick up breakfast,
Oh,
and
that's
then
sweet.
meet her at her apartment, and we'd sit there and have breakfast together. And sometimes I would work. One of the good things about my job is I could work remotely.
Yeah,
So some of those some of those Thursdays, I would just work from her apartment.
yeah. Fast forward to when you proposed to me, because you proposed to me, I believe. What did I get proposed to? No, it was in November. Was that 2021?
I'm trying to remember where we were. Oh my
At my
gosh.
house. I
Oh,
remember,
with the kids.
yes.
We used the
So
kids.
the proposal, right? And tell me what was it that was so endearing, or when was the moment that you knew, or time frame that you knew you wanted to marry me?
Oh geez. So I knew that I wanted to get married to you from sometime in spring of 2021. Sometime in
Spring.
spring of 2021.
Okay.
That's when I started conspiring because it was
You never said I love you until that spring of 2021, really?
because
Because I
it was
remember
Valentine's
Valentine's
Day of
Day, but you
2021.
never said I love you though, that card.
But I thought it was around Valentine's Day. Or was it on Valentine's Day? We said it.
Maybe it was maybe it was
I
Valentine's
think it was
Day. Yeah,
Valentine's
I
Day of
think you're right. You might
2021.
have said it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was shortly after that that I think I
Oh, you did that
decided.
quick?
Shortly, spring of 2021. Yeah,
Because we met in fall
of
of
20.
2020.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, so you knew that quick?
yeah. I mean, you were amazing. You were,
I mean, I was.
and the kids loved you. And so when I decided that I was going to propose to Z, I got the kids involved. They were my little co-conspirators. We went out and we picked up the ring together.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I knew that it was getting to that time, right? And I kept giving him hints now because I felt like if he wants to marry me, he had all the information that he needed, right? He kind of knew the person that I was, my weaknesses, my faults, my, you know, good traits, bad traits. He knew everything he needed to know, right? So if he didn't know at that point if he wants to marry me or not, then I had to go, right? I wasn't getting any younger. So we started, I think, that summer of 2021 looking at wedding rings, right? We went to the jewelry shop and I was trying on. So I had an idea that it was going to come.
She doesn't like total surprises.
I like a little bit of, it was still a surprise because I had no clue. This was like June, July when we had looked. I did not get proposed. He didn't propose until November of 2021. So it was a couple of months. I kept on looking for the ring, looking for the ring. You know, when I saw him like bend down and tie his shoes, I thought maybe this is the moment he's gonna propose, but nope, not yet. So I was getting a little bit anxious, but it was the sweetest thing though when it did happen. We were in the kitchen. This was one of the weekends where Charles and the babies were over. And I don't know, I was doing something in the kitchen and I turn around and
So they were 4-3. They were 4-3 at this time.
oh yeah, they were 4-3 at this time. And I turned around. And I remember Parker, maybe Aubrey came too. And um, what did Parker say? Will you marry us?
Yes,
Yes, it was the sweetest thing to have the kids involved.
he had the ring.
He had the ring box open, and I still have the pictures of me like doing my ring in all different lights, different angles, 20,000 photos on my phone. But I love that we had the kids involved in that proposal. And I think another thing why I really love that, where at least for me, I didn't want the stress of a wedding. Like there's other things, there's residency that was a stress and all. There was just a lot going on. So we had a courtroom wedding, and part of me feels bad that we didn't have the kids involved, but I'm glad now that I'm thinking about it, the kids at least got to see the proposal or be a part of the proposal. I think that was important.
Yeah.
We got married on February 10th, 2022. It was a courthouse wedding. I don't think I would have had it any other way. I didn't realize that I would be as emotional as I was saying the vows. We didn't have any written vows. We just, did the usual vows. But it meant a lot to me. And I didn't realize, like, I knew that I wanted to marry him, but I didn't realize the actual ceremony of itself would mean so much to me. Um, but I'm glad how we did it. We did it stress free, right? I got a dress from Dillard's and he had his suit on. And then afterwards, we went to what's the name of that restaurant?
Harry's.
Harry's, right? A little chain restaurant. And I think I had some shrimp and fries. And it was a good day. The weather was beautiful. It was a day after my birthday. And I was happy.
Yeah.
So that is the start of our love story. And I think we plan to have videos about various aspects of our lives, right? How do we navigate being a blended family? How do we navigate being full-time parents, being a physician, being an actuary, what that looks like, what our responsibilities are? How do we navigate moving and that transition and, raising children in
Child.
today's day and time, having a new baby and what does that look like, with the older kids and
We have a 10-month-old baby, by the way.
yes. And we'll talk about that in future videos, what led us in our journey, because that was a journey to have that little snuggle
Yeah.
pop in itself. That was pretty trying. But on that note, we will talk to you guys later.